And Lawrence Nyaga was among officers attached to the highly sensitive Security of Government Buildings Unit when a drug trafficking case involving a fellow officer triggered events that would alter the course of his life. Though never charged with any crime, Nyaga claims he was targeted, transferred, subjected to irregular disciplinary processes, and left fighting for justice for nearly a decade. His case is emerging at a time when more police officers are taking their grievances to social media, arguing that internal mechanisms meant to address complaints have failed them. Tonight, we examine the allegations, the court battles, and the troubling questions they raise as regards discipline and due process within the administration police service.
It all began in 2016 when Lawrence Nyaga was serving as a specialized administration police officer attached to the elite Security of Government Buildings Unit, a formation entrusted with the protection of some of Kenya's most sensitive government installations and senior public officials. At the time, Nyaga says he was simply carrying out his duties like any other police officer.
I was deployed to one CEO, FEB, Mr. John Kidaka. But before I reported, I was called by one, the adjutant SGB, Wambua Kisungu, who is now the director logistics. Akaniambia nikienda hiyo mahali ya kazi niambie Kidaka amsaidie na kanafasi ya kazi ya mtoto. Aliniambia many children, relatives ambao walikuwa wamemaliza shule na hawakuwa na kazi mahali, so ni jaribu kuongea na Kidaka amsaidie na kanafasi ya kazi. When I reported, I delivered the message because I was a messenger. The capacity now to create that nafasi was within now with Kidaka, si mimi. With the time, Kisungu alifika mahali akaona ni kama I did not deliver the message, na akaanzia kudevelop something called personal grudges, personal issues na mimi.
The weight of the allegations led NTV to conduct a sit-down interview with Lawrence to enable us cross-examine his claims. For years, Nyaga says he was repeatedly accused of wrongdoing, first informally and then in ways that appeared to follow him through the ranks. One day, he was summoned and questioned about allegations that he frequented clubs while carrying government-issued firearm.
And I told him the shame ndio ile kazi nafanya where I was deployed. Huwa natoka kwa hiyo nyumba 5 narudi kwa nyumba 10 o'clock. So time ya kwenda kwa club na afikiria si ngepata. Akaniambia alisemwalo lipo na kama alipo laja. Akaniambia wewe enda. So I continued with my duties kama kawaida. 2 months later, I was called by the same Kimani. Akaniambia adjutant ananiita. When I went to his office, akaniambia, this time nimepata reporting wewe na other 3 police officers are conducting robbery within Umoja.
To Nyaga, those accusations, he believes, formed part of a pattern that would eventually culminate in his abrupt removal from his station in April 2016. That year, a police officer identified as Paul Martin and a woman, Elizabeth Wamboi, were arrested in a case linked to drug trafficking. Although Nyaga was never arrested, never charged, and never publicly named as a suspect, he says events moved swiftly in the aftermath of those arrests. He was disarmed and instructed to await redeployment. Days later, he received transfer orders sending him hundreds of kilometers away to Marsabit County. To the police service, the transfers may have been routine administrative decisions, but to Nyaga, the timing was impossible to ignore. Eventually, the dispute found its way to court. In a petition filed before the Employment and Labor Relations Court, Nyaga challenged the process that had led to the stoppage of his salary and the disciplinary actions taken against him. According to him, the proceedings that were later produced by the police service raised troubling questions. He says the officer who conducted the disciplinary process acknowledged that the proceedings were undertaken in the absence of Nyaga and before critical aspects of his service record had even been verified. The court will later examine those events, and the judgment found that the process leading to the stoppage of Nyaga's salary to have been unlawful, a finding that has remained at the center of his dispute with the police service ever since. Yet, even after the judgment, the problems did not end. After the court judgment, Nyaga was reinstated, but not before contempt of court was filed against the police service. Nyaga was then transferred to Northhor in Marsabit. On the 2nd of October 2024, he was sent to Laisamis in Marsabit South. Then 60 days later, he was transferred to the Administration Police Headquarters for further deployment.
In the last communication, there is a lady who called me from Jogo and told me from December 14th, 2024, I was transferred to anti-stock theft, ASTU. But in the record shows you never reported. So my salary was stopped on September 2025. That around 10 to 11 months, around 10 months from the time of transfer.
He was instructed to report from Laisamis to the Administration Police Headquarters in Embakasi, where he was asked to go to the anti-stock theft unit, but was never issued with a formal transfer letter. He says he questioned the legality of reporting to a new station without official deployment documents, and as a result, he found himself once again in conflict with the system.
So from there, I did a follow-up through the office of the human resource with Director SAIG Esbon Rusweti. He told me, wewe ulipangwa ASTU, weenda hakuna barua, ile siku tataka kwenda uniambie nielezee nani. I called the commandant, ASTU. But I asked him, sir, I know the procedure. The right way is you give me the letter, I report the letter for record purpose. Nikamwambia, from the time of deployment up to now, ASTU wameniambia wana file yangu, and the circumstance ambayo inafanya aupatiani file yangu, at the same time there is no transfer letter, na kulingana pia the circumstance. You know, I have been another transfer for less than 1 month. And for the time I have operated at Northall, since I was reinstated, sijawahi file yangu. So akaniambia, wewe ukitaka kwenda niambie nipigie commandant ASTU afanya nini, akureceive huko.
I spoke extensively with former senior police officer, now security consultant Fred Nabea, about Nyaga's issue. Nabea, during his time in the service, was involved in several police transfers and thus is not new to the process.
That is an illegal transfer. For as long as there is no signal showing that officer has been transferred to that station, the police don't deal with verbal instructions, especially when it comes to transfers. So if they have been told to go verbally, then that is not a transfer, and it's not even a redeployment. It has no power of law.
So they would be given something to go with, or a signal would be sent.
They are not even given something to go with. A signal is sent to them and to the receiving officer. I mean, station. Yes, it has to be that way. If it is not that way, then it is not legal.
I told Nabea that Nyaga had drawn salaries from the government for over 1 year without working anywhere. That Mr. Hesbon Lusweti, the human resource personnel, had asked Nyaga to report when he's ready.
There is a difference between that officer and the boss, but it is illegal. This person is drawing a salary without working for it. This person is transferring verbally. Kwa hivyo amempatia leave ambayo is not recognized.
If the transfer is legal, was there an expectation from us to, like, we have not received this officer?
Absolutely. If the transfer was legal, actually the officer is supposed to be on some disciplinary matter.
The National Police Service has not publicly responded to the specific allegations raised by Nyaga. We have written to the Inspector General of Police through National Police Service spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga, and separately to Senior Human Resource Official Hesbon Lusweti, seeking responses to the claims. The police spokesperson wrote to me via WhatsApp saying, "That is a human resource question, asking that we seek answers from Mr. Hesbon Lusweti, the Director of Personnel at the Administration Police Headquarters in Embakasi," which we did. But by the time of going on air, Mr. Lusweti had not responded to our questions. As we await those responses, one question remains at the heart of this extraordinary dispute. Was Lawrence Nyaga the victim of a deeply flawed administrative process that spiraled out of control, or was the police service acting within its meaningful mandate in managing an officer it believed had become problematic? Now, for nearly 10 years, that question has remained unanswered, and the police service version has been rejected by court. And for Lawrence Nyaga, the search for that answer continues.
So help me God.
Brian Obuya, NTV.
And Brian Obuya's story takes us to